The movie starts back in time 8 months ago, when Greg and his two friends Yas and Antoine chase an unlicensed motorcyclist, which aroused suspicion about this person because he was not wearing his helmet. The suspect is chased into a cargo container area, which prompted the police to chase him by running after him. Unfortunately, the man was able to escape with his friend on another stolen motorcycle. At the same time, Antoine contacted his informant and obtained information about the illegal distribution of drugs, where he went to the site to buy some merchandise. Upon their arrival, the drug dealer is arrested. Then, they immediately ran away from the gangsters. After the arrest, Antoine gave some contraband to an informant named Amel as a reward for providing the information. The next day at the police station, Greg informs his boss, Jerome, about the arrest of a drug dealer. However, his boss instructed him to focus on the gang leader, not the drug dealer. Later, Greg and his friends continued searching for the drug dealer, where he sought the help of their informant, the cigarette seller. However, he did not benefit them. Instead of arresting anyone, they planned to capture 2 illegal arms dealers. They wanted to be taken to the police station. At that moment, they received a report of a stolen car. They released the arms dealers and focused on chasing the stolen car. It turns out that the car was taken to an area that was heavily guarded by gangsters. It is headed by a man named Temax. He also disclosed to the police that there were no stolen cars, and if they want to investigate, he does not guarantee their safety. They backed off at last, because gangsters outnumbered them. Later they met at Yas's house. His wife, Nora, was also a policewoman, and she was about to give birth, and she was later transferred to the hospital. They also celebrated the occasion of the newborn. In the next scene, Jerome shows Greg a video where the thief is tortured for stealing contraband from the customers. Jerome also discloses that this is related to a large drug ring. He presented the case to Greg. After thinking, Greg accepts the assignment. For detailed information on drug cartels, Antoine came to see Amel, where she warned him about the danger of the place and their indifference to the laws, and if they wanted to obtain detailed information, they must secure 5 kilograms of prohibited items. Jerome was informed of Amel's request and the supply of the quantity from small merchants. Their boss also instructed them to be careful. Later, the team starts looking for random people to buy drugs, unless they were visited by a merchant in the area. A confrontation took place between them with weapons. Eventually, the dealers backed out because they recognized Greg's face, and Yas was calmed down before the matter aggravated, and then they returned safely to their homes. The next day, Amel calls Antoine and reprimands him, because police usually don't steal goods from customers. She was afraid of being involved with gangsters, but he persuaded her that her identity is unknown to them. Later on, Greg was informed that there was a police team that needed help, where Greg and his friends who used to smoke marijuana ran away so as not to cause any more problems there. When Greg arrives at the office, Jack, who has been attacked by the gang, is furious with him for not helping him. After 3 weeks, there was only 2 kilograms left of the drugs, where Greg hired Jack's team to complete the required quantity. Then it was given to Amel. She also informed them of the arrival of a large shipment after 3 days, and it is heading to the storage headquarters of the cartel for miscellaneous under the supervision of the heads of the network. Although Amel does not know the exact location of the storage, he asked Antoine to follow the merchant who had the suitcase so he could find the location. On the day of delivery of the goods, they saw a yellow car driving into the area, which was very suspicious. The transaction was made with the merchant who was carrying a black bag. Greg also instructs the team to follow the man with the black bag to find out the location of the storage. Antoine approached the man, pretending to be the buyer. But unfortunately, Antoine has been exposed. The merchant ran away and threw the bag to the blue-clothed man. Greg and his friends confronted the gangsters. At the same time, Yas saw the blue-clothed man as he immediately chased him to the apartment complex. Yas hid in one of the apartments. He also informed his friends about the apartment on the 5th floor and the possibility of it being in possession of contraband. Meanwhile, Greg and Antoine are having a fight with the gang outside the apartment building. Because the door was locked, Greg and Antoine entered the apartment next door. Then they stormed the roof of the building. When he is about to get to Yas's place, the boy stabs him. Immediately, Yas hit him until he fainted. The three of them finally broke into the suspicious apartment, where they found many holes. With great caution, they infiltrated behind a group transporting money and contraband. A short time later, Greg threw a smoke grenade that disrupted their vision and breathing for a while. The other team also assisted in the arrest of all gang members, where they got the money and drugs, and many of the cartel leaders were arrested. Later, the policemen turned their guns on the gangsters. Their car was also destroyed and one of the gang members was wounded by a bullet. The battle is finally over and the policemen are back in the office. Jerome also gave a report to the whole team and especially to Yas. Then Antoine gave Amel the agreed amount of contraband. 2 months later, the police and the detectives visit Greg, Antoine, and Yas. Charges of extortion of customers and possession of contraband were brought against them. Investigations also confirmed the theft of a large amount of contraband in addition to their suspicion of selling it, where they explained that the contraband was intentionally collected to pay informants money and to know where it was kept. It was clear that they could not know the identity of Amel because keeping the identity of the informant secret is one of the rules of police conduct. Greg was even more angry because Detective Yvonne stopped him. Later, Greg wanted to meet Jerome and the investigative judge, because he knew that the investigator only looks into cases that do not really exist. To climb the ladder of his career and achieve his goal, Jerome remains silent, fearing that he will be involved in the case, and he betrayed his team. Finally, the three are imprisoned for a period of time until the investigation results are completed. Antoine did not want the name of the informant to be revealed with the possibility of their release. But as a policeman and a man of very strong principles, he did not say anything about Amel, which sparked Greg's anger and attacked a prisoner. Later on came Jack and his team, who were worried about Nora's condition, and they raised money for her needs. But she refused and asked them to be witnesses in the case. And she asked them to say that the collection of contraband was to pay the amount to the informant with the approval of their boss, Jerome. However, they did not agree. Although Jack and his friends wanted to be witnesses in the case, this will not change anything because of the police who deliberately covered up the matter. All three were deliberately sacrificed to please many parties. Later, Nora visited Yas in prison. She promises not to leave him even if Jack and his friends don't testify in a case involving him. Later, Greg's behavior in prison became insane when Antoine was forced to tell the investigator that Amel was their informant. After learning the truth, the drug trafficking charges against the three were dismissed. The film ends with Yas joining the police union to defend his friends against the administration. Greg was also fired from the police and is now working as a security guard. They found Antoine in possession of a large quantity of contraband in his house. They are still being prosecuted for violating the civil code. They must work in a prison hospital as a condition of their release. I hope you enjoyed the video. Subscribe for more, hit the like button to support us, and leave a comment if you'd like us to review your favorite movie. Until the next time, take care.